Welcome, everyone. My name is Tim Mikhelishvili. I'm the host of the 2023 Medical Affairs Innovation Olympics, CEO and co-founder of Amadev Pharma. And today, I am excited about what promises to be yet another exciting semifinal full of action, new ideas. Let me introduce our competitors and our judges very quickly, and also go over some of the rules, the sequence of the events that will take place. First of all, we have Amit Lalwani, founder of Pharma Apps Developer, joining us from Australia. Welcome, Amit. And Mahek Chatrapati, CEO and co-founder of Doc Nexus. And he's joining us from Chicago, I believe. Right?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so you and Amit are not in the same house, right? Like we spoke about earlier in the studio, despite the backgrounds. Okay. And we have our expert judges, our global expert judges. I'm going to take the time to introduce them very quickly. Rob Adamowski, VP of Medical Affairs at Corcept Therapeutics. Hi, Rob. Steve Royal, founder of My Medical Affairs and Rumi, also media partner of this event this year. Michael Kahn, as well, Senior Director, Global Operations at Spark Therapeutics.
Hello.
Michael. Hello, Michael. Okay. We have other judges, attendees from our event joining us as well. And let's just get into some of the themes of the event very quickly and the road to the semifinals before we jump into the competition here. The slogan for this event was Reclaim Our Health and Revive Our Planet. And so we really critically took a look at the purpose of the innovation that's most relevant today in order to understand the place that medical affairs really holds in our healthcare community, in advancing the access, the continuity, and quality of healthcare. And so entrants from all across the globe were invited to interpret these three needs and submit their ideas. And so over the last 2 weeks, 16 days, we narrowed down the field from 9 to 4. And the prizes are going to be $10,000, $5,000, and $3,000 for the gold, silver, and bronze medals. And we have some special recognition awards already being distributed, as well as individual event winners, whom I'll speak about in just a bit. So there were 6 event categories: evidence generation, scientific communication, field medical affairs, operations, and medical insights, as well as medical strategy and launch. These are the criteria that the judges have been evaluating our competitors across the entire competition: the validity, predictability, the causality, novelty, and applicability of these ideas, and their relevance to our 3 themes, of course: access, continuity, quality of healthcare. So what will take place in this unique live stream debate here is a 10-minute presentation from each of our 2 competitors, Amit and Mahek, followed by a vote immediately after their presentation, before each of them will have a chance to ask each other questions as I tabulate the votes, and then the judges will ask them live the questions. They'll be able to challenge and comment, as well as the others. So if you're joining and you're an attendee and you're part of our event and you had registered, you're welcome to use the comment section in the chat, ask our competitors the questions. After all the questions will be addressed and the first round of votes will be completed and shared with everyone, all of those votes will be erased, eliminated. And both of you, Amit and Mahek, will have a final 3 minutes to provide your message and your compelling message to the judges and attendees for the relevance of your ideas and the importance to this event. The points are also very important because the higher score among those who do not advance to the final tomorrow will receive the bronze medal. And so we already know that the winner of today's semifinal will face Tamar Sapir, who had already won. Now, before we get into the first competitor, I want to mention that both of you are already winners. Not to say that because of the cliche phrase that we always hear, because for this 1 hour, you are competitors. But you are winners because both of you actually won the individual event categories. Scientific communication for Amit Lalwani. So congratulations, Amit.
Thank you.
Yes, and Mahek Chatrapati, who also won the field medical affairs event category. That was announced today because of the highest score you received, each of them received. And with that, I'll ask Amit first. I'll give you the choice of presenting first or second, and I'll put up the timer with 10 minutes. Would you like to go first? Or would you...
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind going first if that's okay with you, Mahek.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds good to me. It's in the same house, so I'm happy.
Okay, great. So here's the timer. Please feel free to add your presentation to our stage, our studio, and we'll begin.
Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead. Okay, if you could please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, just one. It seems like you're sharing the screen, not the slides. Oh, okay, there we go.
There we go.
So let me know when to start, and I'll set the timer, which you should see also here. You should see it in the studio. You see it, right?
I don't see it, but look, that's okay.
Okay. I'll pull it up if you need. Yeah, I'll pull it up. Yeah,
okay,
no problem.
All right, so I'm ready.
Go ahead,
everyone.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Tim, and thank you to everyone here on the call for making time to attend today's semifinal. I know it's it's an extracurricular activity for you guys, so really thank you for being here. My name is Amit Lalwani, and today I'll be talking to you, hopefully taking you on a journey a bit about myself, but mainly about MBOT and its capabilities and some use cases. So I thought I'll start a little bit about myself. So I began my journey, with a passion for computer coding right after high school. And I've learned a number of different languages as shown here on the screen. However, my true passion was always in medicine and science, leading me to a fulfilling career in medical and clinical research. I then later on pivoted into the pharmaceutical industry, where my first industry role was as an MSL. And I loved the role so much because it was one of those roles that really resonated with me. And I loved it so much. You can see I won 2 MSL awards. And this was quite recent, just last year. And then to broaden my expertise, I took on a medical advisor role, focusing on rare diseases therapy area. But now what I'm excited about is combining my interests into the digital and medical affairs space, which is why I'm really excited about this Olympics event, because what this event really is doing is really marrying the two, innovation in both events. So it's bringing the digital and medical affairs together. And so Tim, thank you again for really organizing this really great event. Now, so while I was in my pharma roles, I always had this urge of, to do something on the side. And that's how I started with my entrepreneurship journey. And this was in 2021, when I launched my first mobile app called 3P, which stands for Pharmaceutical Pipeline Products. And what this app does is it provides curated pipeline information across multiple pharma companies, therapy areas, drug targets, etc. And then this was followed by another mobile app, which I launched a couple of months ago only, called the Oncology Trial Seeker app. And what this app does is it provides the enormous clinical trial information in an easy and understandable way to grasp. And it's mainly for the patients to empower them with the knowledge about their cancer. And this is to really initiate those conversations with their specialists, with their oncologists, such as, hey, doctor, I saw this clinical trial. Can we look into enrolling in the trial? What are the other treatment options, etc. Now, both these apps are available on the Apple and Android app stores if you may wish to download them. At the same time, I was also working on MBOT, which you've heard, and you've seen it on my ideas page. And lastly, I wanted to touch on kind of an extension of MBOT, which is currently in the ideation stage, which will be a patient journey mapping tool. So really, the story of MBOT is very simple. It started off as an idea, quite fresh actually, only a couple of months ago. And the question I had at the time was, where can I get credible medical information on demand, and something that is not out in the open like OpenAI. And so I saw this as a problem. As an entrepreneur, what I wanted to do was to solve this problem. So I used some of my coding skills and I built MBOT, which stands for Medical Brilliance Optimization Technology. And in simple words, what it is it's a conversational chatbot that can provide you with medical information. So now let's take a little deeper look into MBOT. So I'll just do a little live demo that I've set up. And then I'll run through some, how does MBOT work, and some use cases after that as well. So if I can. Okay, so you can see my web browser screens. Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, so what I've done is really in terms of comparison. So, I've got ChatGPT open. I'm sure everyone knows about ChatGPT. It's one of those resources that you can go and get some information, instant information. But a lot of the times what I've noticed in my experience is the information that you can get from ChatGPT, sometimes it's not correct. It's not credible information. And that's really simply because ChatGPT sources information from the World Wide Web, and hence there are a lot of incredible sources that come in that as well. And then I've got the MBOT open over here. So what I've done is, just for the demo purposes, I've got some simple questions. So unfortunately, Liz is not here on the call today, but I've just chosen a product from Synovion, which is Lunesta, which I'm sure you may be aware. It's a medication used for the treatment of insomnia. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run through these questions in both ChatGPT and MBOT. And really what I wanted to show you guys is what are the responses that you get. And a little bit of comparison between the two. So one of the things what I've done in MBOT is I've created different personas. And what I mean by that is, for example, if a HCP is using MBOT, the type of answer MBOT will provide will be more relevant for a HCP as compared to an MSL, a pharmaceutical professional persona, which includes MSL, CAMS. Another persona I have is for pharmacists, and another one is for patients. So today we'll just go with the HCP persona. So simply you just say to MBOT, I'm an HCP, and then you go ahead and choose what information you're after. So it'll ask you what is the product. So obviously, as I said, it's Lunesta. I'm going to paste the same question for ChatGPT as well. So we can see there's a really clear difference between the two. So ChatGPT really gives you these long, elaborate answers, which is great. But sometimes it may not. You're just after some quick and nifty information, which MBOT can provide you with, and also. It's based on the persona that you've chosen in the MBOT. So if you go on to the next question. we can see that, so when I put in a question, how many adverse events were submitted to the FDA, so obviously ChatGPT did not pick it up. I have no reason. I don't know what the reason behind that is, but obviously MBOT picked that up. And just to verify this, so there were a total of 127 adverse events. So we can see it hopefully right over here. I'm just using the FDA Adverse Event Reporting Public System database. I don't have much experience using it, but I'm hoping that's the correct database that I'm using. And you can see that MBOT will also give you what the source of the information is it's taking it from.
Okay, we have just a minute and a half remaining. Yeah.
While that loads up, I'll try to go on to the next question. So next question is, what are the different clinical trials? And if we ask the same question to ChatGPT, there you go. So it clearly can't pick it up. Again, I don't know what the reason for that is. But I do know, and please feel free to verify this as well. So there are 74 clinical trials for the NESTA if you go on clinicaltrials.gov website. Next, I'll just quickly show you how does it, about clinical trial information. So now we know that MBOT cannot provide you with any clinical trial information. So simply if I... Sorry, Tim.
Yeah, my apologies. Go ahead.
Yeah. See, when I put in the clinical trial number, so obviously ChatGPT did not pick it up. And the surprising part is it says that the last knowledge was in until September 2021. But this is quite a recent study. It was just started last year in 2022. So really, I don't know what is, why does ChatGPT not pick it up? So if I ask MBOT just a simple question, what is the title? It's going to pick it up. And just to verify that,
okay. Just want to make sure we hear you.
So that's the study that we are referring to. So you can see it clearly. Can you hear me?
Yes. Just a little delay there.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. Apologies. Must be my internet. So you can see it clearly picked up the title. Let's go with another simple question. What is the summary?
And I mean, we are at time, so let's begin to wrap up. Just to, I have to say that in the spirit of competition. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. All right. So look. So we saw what MBOT can do. So what I really wanted to show in the background, like how does it really work? So simply, if I have to put MBOT, in simple 4 stages. That's what this is what it looks like. But there are many moving parts in the background. So when a question or a user input comes to MBOT, what it does is it analyzes and it uses the intent and utterances technology. And then based on the analysis, it sources for the information from the knowledge base. And finally, the output is, the appropriate response, which in the background, MBOT also has the capability to measure for confidence rates. Now, the analysis and sourcing of the 2 main stages of the MBOT, which happens here, is that the user's input is understood as an intent, and using natural language processing and natural language understanding, MBOT leverages AI. So I just want to emphasize here again. So MBOT does not use AI as the main source for generating responses, but rather it uses it as it only leverages AI, but the main source of information is from the curated knowledge base for generating responses. And this knowledge base is really, something that the user can control. And this is important to maintain the credibility of the information, whether that is medical information, training information, patient education, or clinical trial information that MBOT can provide. So you can see that, at the bottom right of the screen, there is a storage stage, which here it's currently in the development stage. And what the plan with this is to really have a storage bank for the FAQs and chat history if the user wishes to store that. And this is, again, the user themselves choose a location for their, of their choice where they want to store the information. So here I've got some use cases, 2 future use cases, I should say. So full disclosure, none of these cases are in operation yet in the real world. Currently, it's going through some planning and dossier preparation to be tested out, hopefully soon. So the first case on the left is with a large pharma, where the introduction of a drug, let's call it drug A, for the treatment of leukemia in young adults requires comprehensive HCP education. Now, MBOT can. What the plan of MBOT, what the plan of the team is to let MBOT help them, provide the users, which are HCPs, with interactive training modules, real-time Q&A support, role-playing scenarios, and patient-centric guidance. It will also have the capability to track HCP progress and ensure that the information is consistent and up to date. And by this aim, to have this holistic approach to ensure that HCPs can confidently discuss about the drug with their patients and parents, and really provide them with the much needed support and care that they are that they're after. And then the second case on the right.
Yeah. I don't mean to interrupt, but I want to make a suggestion to maybe leave the slide up here, as we are getting quite a few questions, Amit. And I know some of the judges have to leave a little bit early. They had told me earlier, so I want to make sure they vote. Is that okay with you? Just maybe, if we can talk about the second use case as the questions come in.
Okay. So.
Okay.
Sorry, I can't see the questions on my screen.
Oh, not yet. No. So we'll get, before we get into those questions, I thought we'll start with Mahek as part of the sequence that I showed, and we have about 5 minutes now, just for Mahek to also ask you a question, challenge you, or provide a comment as well.
Yeah.
And then
sure.
in the meantime, I would like to ask the judges to go into the link in the private chat and in our back chat in the platform app and begin to vote. So, Mahek, what did that trigger? What questions, challenges? Please feel free.
Yeah, I guess on my side, I guess a couple of questions that I had, Amit. It seems like you're training. You're not trained. For MBOT itself, it's not trained off GPT. Are you using some other model like Llama 2 or something, and then using a way to kind of retrieve the information, right? Rather than generate information? I know a lot of these models tend to hallucinate. So I'm just kind of curious from my knowledge perspective how that was kind of built.
Yeah, really, really great question, Mahek. So thank you for that. So in terms of training, so the training part of MBOT really happens in the knowledge base. So whatever information, whatever documents you feed into the knowledge base of MBOT, it's going to train on that. And the way it trains is it leverages AI. So it uses the large language models just in terms of matching the keywords to what's in your knowledge base. But when a user puts in a question on MBOT, it will never send it outside the knowledge base. So meaning it's got these large language models inbuilt within MBOT, and what it uses that is to really match with the keywords and to really understand the intent of the question of the user. So for example, the user would ask, just for example purposes, what's the study for drug A in 2022? So it's really going to try to fetch for information, drug A, it's going to match it with the keywords and look for the NCT number and then really give that appropriate response. And then, as I said before, in the background, it does scoring as well for matching confidence intervals. So if it hits a more than 90% of score, that's when it will give you a response. If not, it'll just give you a response such as I'm not able to fetch information, and hence can you clarify your question. So it's really understanding what the question is, just like how humans converse. Like if you're not able to understand a question, you try to ask for clarification. So it's just really in that way.
Yeah, that makes sense. Does it process both structured and unstructured data? So, like, I mean, I think that's the hardest thing to kind of like for these models to ingest, right? Like, I mean, if you give it like pt.gov or PubMed, it's pretty straightforward. If you give it unstructured data sources like PowerPoints or PDFs, how does it kind of fare? Or is that like maybe in feature scope?
A really good question. So currently, what MBOT, the types of documents MBOT can take is really, like you said, websites, URLs, Word documents, PDFs, but not PowerPoint files, Excel files. It cannot do that just because it cannot pass data from. It's not in a readable format for MBOT yet, but I'm doing some work in the background just to modify the coding algorithms to really try to scrape information from PowerPoints and Excel. I guess the issue with PowerPoints is sometimes if you have a slide deck with, say, images, it really can't read that. And so look, I'm working around. I'm doing a lot of brainstorming sessions with a number of people just to understand how that can be sorted. But yeah, definitely that's in the future scope.
Yeah. Let me know if you want to chat. We've built out some solutions in that space, so happy to kind of share as well.
There you go. Thank you.
A lot of that stuff. So that's interesting. And then kind of my last question, right, goes back to use cases. So are your main use cases like MedInfo? I'd assume like MedInfo teams and like HCPs would like love this type of interface. Kind of curious, what are some of the other use cases that y'all see?
Yeah, so look, I mean, the two use cases that I showed again. So these are two future use cases. They're not in the real world at the moment. So one is with the large pharma company. It was with the actual medical team. So they wanted to launch this chatbot for their HCPs for the customers. And the second one was with CRO. So really, in terms of who can use the chatbot, who can use MBOT is really, HCPs, patients, but a lot of medical teams as well, and even commercial teams, because at the end of the day, like it's a chatbot that can really train up on your data. So whatever data you feed to MBOT, it's really going to give that appropriate information. So let's say for commercial sales team, if you want to build MBOT to with some key selling messages, so it can do that for you. If you want the medical teams to come up with, MBOT to come up with some medical teams appropriate information, like off-label information, so it can do that for you. And this again, it happens in a closed setting, so you can really have MBOT, hosted on your company's website, internet, or wherever. It's like I said, it doesn't send it out in the open, and so users. It's a diverse cohort of users that can use it.
Yeah, no, that's extremely useful. I definitely, I'd love to kind of chat and also, share some insights, hear some like maybe best practices as well afterwards, and see if we can collaborate. Yeah, so thanks.
Yeah, definitely.
I have Amit, and happy to go from there.
Thank you, Mahek.
All right, great. Let me share some of the individual votes so far that you're receiving, Amit. So a lot of great scores here. 10 on the applicability. High scores in the validity department as well. So here are some of the scores that you see: 6s, 8s, 9 on applicability here. And remember, these are the first round of votes before more questions come in from our judges here and the attendees. So we're going to export this data, and so far, after 4 of those 5 votes, you have 150 points, 37.5 out of 50. Okay. And so let's now go to our judges before we go to the to our attendees who are sending in quite a few comments and questions. Anybody want to start?
Yeah, I'll jump in. Just, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Steve.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, no, it was just to continue that momentum that Mahak brought up. By the way, it's fantastic to see the camaraderie between competitors talking about collabs and things like that. In the true spirit of Olympic fashion, seeing competitors become friends, foes become friends is truly heartwarming. So very, very good. Congratulations, guys! You're both winners on that front.
Thanks.
But
Thanks,
yeah,
Steve.
it's for me. This competition is all about the application and where we can. I mean, I'm a solution provider in the industry, so I'm always looking for ways of better service customers and things like that. So the applications seem almost limitless when it comes to AI and how it's going to be leveraged in this sort of instance. And one thing so I appreciate that touching on Mahek's questions were really aligned with mine. But I was also looking at perhaps the because you've got the big concern for me with AI is the credibility of the data and where it's being pulled from. So you've kind of answered that by a pharmaceutical company, say the MedInfo team would be responsible for which data sources or background information would be pulled on. But from that, could you also maybe focus on an educational play? Like, is there potential applications for CME in with MBOT that clinicians could sign up for, like a program that they could ask questions and answers, or even from a field medical training sort of point of view? Obviously, they can research information for their own benefit, but would there potentially be a play for learning and development, working with MSL teams to pass particular internal tests and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely, Steve. I think on the CME part, definitely there is some work going on. So really, I mean, if you think of MBOT as something, it's all about training the MBOT. So whatever information you give MBOT, so it's going to get trained up on that, and based on that, it'll give you the responses. So if you have, say, if you want to do a CME project, you can really give those appropriate documents to feed on the knowledge base on MBOT, and it will provide you with that information. The second one on the medical training for MSLs, again, there is a functionality in MBOT currently. So I'd probably say it's not 100% yet, but what it can do is, based on what information you feed into MBOT, say if you have certain training modules, say you're a manager, you want your MSLs to have certain style of engagement plans when they go out to see the KOLs, you can have those training modules on MBOT, and then simply when the MSL is not able to get hold of your manager, they can just go on to MBOT and ask some simple questions. Say, example, I've got a meeting coming up with Dr. ABC. What should be my engagement plan? And that's really the information that it picks up is on various sources. So one of the sources can be from the CRM insights. So based on what previous conversations you've had with this particular Dr. ABC, would it'll try to develop an engagement plan for you. But this is again, it's not an engagement plan that it's not 100% engagement plan. So it's really going to give you like a skeleton plan for an engagement plan, and then you go from there. So you can modify it, and then you can add your own
that you can personalize.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's going to give you like I said, like a skeleton, and then you go on to do further work on that.
Yeah, nice one. Also, so I mean, looking at both your platforms and along this journey, I can see Mahak's offering is pretty much fleshed out. It's a commercial offering now, working with pharmaceutical companies. Is there a plan to commercialize the product? Is there a journey that you're mapping out for MBOT in itself to be a platform that can be leveraged by industry?
Yeah, really, really good question, Steve. So yes, there is a plan, a commercial plan in work in progress. So I've got a question from Mr. Johnson as well.
I didn't mean to confuse you. Just because it was relevant to what Steve asked.
Yeah.
Nice I would just put that up from Rick Johansson.
Yeah. So like there is definitely a commercial model. So look, at the moment, what I'm thinking is really two kinds of sort of platforms within the commercial model. So one is where users can come onto a secured platform with a secured login and password and access MBOT for medical products information, clinical trial information, and clinical literature information. And the other platform is where the users can actually get the platform and really train MBOT based on what their needs are. So that's where I'm looking for the two different models, and yeah, look, it's
a challenge.
It's a work in progress. It is a challenge, yes.
The challenge
so
is
currently,
because you've got so many functions now in medical affairs that could all use this technology in different ways. So it's a luxury of options to choose which direction you'd hone in on. I imagine.
Exactly, Steve. And so what I'm really doing at the moment is for that. I'm trialing it with a number of people. So like the use cases that I presented. So it's really, a lot of insights for me. I'm hoping a lot of insights will come from those two use cases. It's really about understanding what the needs are and where the needs really are relevant. So yeah, look, hoping the journey goes well, and hope we all hear about it in the near future.
We have another question from our judge, Michael Khan. Amit, I don't know if Michael, you can get on audio, and I assume you can't.
I can. I just thought it was easier to type it out, but I'll read the question, though I think everybody sees it. So you're making a case that MBOT is more accurate than ChatGPT, which leads to a buy-in question, right? How what's going to be involved in building trust among HCPs to make important decisions that don't come without risk when using a tool like this?
I think that's a really, really good question, Michael. So look, in terms of accuracy between MBOT and ChatGPT, so we just saw in the live demo. So don't get me wrong, ChatGPT is great. The amount of information it can give you in an instantaneous way is really it's really amazing. But because of the the information it sources from this big, large language models, there's a lot of inaccuracy that comes with that. And hence, MBOT really tries to resolve that. It's really looking at this small source of information, which is a knowledge base, which only consists of documents that you can control. So that's where the credibility comes from. And I guess, once you have the credibility, it's really about, trust is something that you don't build, instantly. So there would be some various scenarios and use cases where the customers, where HCPs would be able to use it and really develop that trust. So what I'm hoping at the moment is, with these use cases, there is a lot of data that I can generate, and this is really what can be presented to to potential customers that this is what we've seen out in the real world, and this is data is data, and again, there's always there's always things you can compare. So it really depends on what the requirements of the stakeholders are. So I hope I answered your question, Michael.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So we're a little bit over time here. We've, I think, time for two more questions. One from the audience that they're waiting for, and then Rob, if you have one as well. Should we let's go? This one has been was posted quite a few minutes ago. So Hakima's Abdel Salam is asking this question regarding pharmacovigilance, Amit. That use case.
Look, great question. So in terms of identifying PV cases, so again, whatever information, whatever the user input puts into MBOT, so yes, it has the capability to identify PV cases, and the way it can really do is based on your case scenarios and identification scenarios for your PV cases. So if you have that information on on MBOT as a training document, it can leverage AI and really help you identify if that's a PV case or not. And in terms of notifying the PV, say, I'm assuming it's notifying the PV teams so yes, it's got the capability to do that as well. So currently it does not have that, but yes, you can always set up in the back end that if there is a PV case that's been identified, there can be an instant email that's been sent out to the PV team within your organization, and then from there on, it gets reported to the government bodies. And thereon. So currently MBOT can't really interact with the government bodies because obviously there is a procedure in terms of when you submit your PV cases, there's a form and everything that you got to fill up. So MBOT can't do that. So it really needs to go to an actual person within your organization to fetch that information and then feed it onto the actual government body websites.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Amit. Any other questions? Rob or anyone else?
I mean, Amit, I just wanted a quick comment and then a really quick question is one, really nice job. I actually like how you prioritize the AI supporting pulling information from reputable sources, right? In our world, it's really tricky. I like how you show the reference. I just wonder, is there a feedback loop to teach the system? So say if you type in a question and get a response, is there an equivalent of like a like or dislike or a rating scale so the system learns that, okay, you know what, for whatever reason, this response I generated did not meet expectation. That way it can kind of continue to get better over time.
Absolutely, really, really good question, Rob. So currently, what MBOT can do is at the I'm hoping you saw it when MBOT gives a response, it'll ask you a question towards the end. Was this helpful? Yes, no, or stop asking. So really, when you say yes, so currently what it does is it tries to fetch information. It tries to answer that same question in a different way. And that's really based, again, in the background, it's doing scoring systems. So if the answer that came to you was about, for example, 93% score, if you don't like the answer, MBOT's going to try to fetch for an answer which is better than that. And if it's not able to do that, it'll simply say, I'm not able to find the appropriate answer for you, but I can provide you with some external resources where you can go, so such as some URLs if it's for a medical product, it'll take you to the FDA page or EMA or TGA or clinicaltrials.gov page. So it's got that capability, but there is a lot of work going on in the background, of course, because of the scoring system, because I guess the responses are really, based on it's a personal preference, right? I mean, there could be one response that someone could love it, and some other person, the same response might not be appropriate. So it's really about learning, and that's why I've developed these personas as well. So based on these personas, you can really understand what the user's preferences are and what kind of answers they prefer. And it's again, it's a training chatbot, so it really learns as you keep going and as you keep using it.
Oh, thank you. Great job, and super creative. Really a huge unmet need, and I encourage you to keep on doing it because it's going to be a really valuable tool for all of us in the future.
Thank you, Rob. Really appreciate it.
Amit and everyone, I'm just showing the results of the vote at this point because there was not one additional vote. So we have 5 votes at the moment, and you have 195 points to 39.0 average so far going in. So let's now set the timer and hear from Mahek Chatrapati.
Awesome.
Okay.
Let me go ahead and
just one. Yeah, go ahead and do that as I just put the timer up real quick.
Can everyone see the screen?
Not yet.
No,
Okay.
I don't see your slides yet. So let me just see.
Populating.
Okay, there's our timer. It's ready. Now I'm just waiting. I'm looking at, oh, there you go. I see your slides.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
So, yep.
So yeah, I'll go ahead and kick it off. Yeah. Hi, everyone. Great to be presenting today at the Medical Affairs Olympics. And yeah, first of all, thanks so much, Tim, for putting this on. I think this is amazing. So excited to kind of jump in. So I'll start off a little bit about DocNexus and how we even came up with the idea, and then I'll talk about what we're building. So DocNexus is the next generation data platform designed to bring new life-saving products to market faster. And really, I mean, at the core of this business, right, we want to help folks across the ecosystem, right? These are life science organizations bringing new medical devices, bringing new pharmaceutical products to markets. For me, this is like a very personal thing. I mean, my grandparents passed away from Alzheimer's, cancer, and even diabetes. And I thought like the most valuable way to help society was actually building out a search engine so that folks could engage with healthcare providers and ultimately help patients. And so we, myself and my co-founders came up with the idea initially, and we vetted out the idea. And my background previously was at Amazon Web Services. One of my co-founders was previously at Santa Fe Pasteur, and ended up building out a solution known as DocNexus Search. And so what this is like, I guess one of the biggest pain points today in the industry is identifying and engaging with key opinion leaders to have a successful product launch and really deliver value for patients. And this could be at many different stages of the life cycle. This could be when you're trying to figure out who the right HCP is to be joining your advisory board. This could be when you're trying to find the right principal investigators, when you're going in front of the FDA, or once you've already launched a product. And I think the way this overall kind of merges, there's basically two big themes, right? Identifying the HCPs, building out analytics behind them, and then merging any of the data that exists across the ecosystem, right? This could be data from claims. This could be CRM data from Veeva. This could be NLP data that you've kind of gathered within your own system. And so today, a healthcare provider has many different data sources, right? So, I mean, there's both public and non-public data streams. So think back to the PubMeds and clinical trials of the world, the LinkedIns and Twitters. You can even think back to the CRM systems, right? The Veevas and Salesforces of the world, or even any internal data that's ingested. And I think everyone's probably seen this slide many times in very different iterations. And I think we've built out something that's very unique from this perspective. We've basically figured out a way to identify who are similar folks that you should be connecting with. And so today we start off with what we call an AI-powered knowledge graph. And so this can start with any sort of concept, right? It could be Alzheimer's, it could be vaccines, it could be hematology, it could be oncology. And once you search for that one concept, we identify who are the top global, national, local, or even regional healthcare providers, right? Everyone wants to know who's in academics, who's focused, who's a community-based physician. And so that's what these red dots in this diagram display. All of the green dots are more so medical subspecialties that exist. And the blue dots are products that exist in that ecosystem. So in the case of like vaccines, here you can see Prevnar or even Gardasil. This is how the data looks on the back end. The front end views are very detailed. Today we have over 10 million different profiles across different healthcare providers across the globe. 7 million just in the US market. And so within each profile, you can dive down into profile, publications, trials, payments, social media, but you can even ingest your internal data. And so I'll show you maybe a quick example of how this looks and how this looks in action. In addition to that, we also do have a global view. So this example here is across like endocrinology. We've looked at hyperthyroidism and who are the top 500 HCPs across the US market. And I think one thing that we're really excited about are our knowledge graphs. And so in this image, I'll actually walk you through a live example. These two different red nodes are both pharmaceutical products, both cross COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. And the one on the left-hand side is a GSK product, Trelegy Ellipta. And the one on the right-hand side is a AstraZeneca product, Breztri Aerosphere. We collect the pharmaceutical class, NDC number, substance name, therapeutic area. And actually, all of these blue nodes in the middle are all healthcare providers that are receiving payments from both organizations. And if you click on any single HCP, we can show you their publications, their trials, their payments, their social media, where they went to medical school, where they did their residency, and how they're connected. Today, we've done this for over 500 million nodes, and we use this data to then power our search engine. So if you want to know information about a healthcare provider, a condition, a life science organization, you can do that instantly. And this data is all on the back end. This is what the user sees. They see a very detailed view of like a doctor, life science company, drug or medical device, or even a hospital system. And so if you want to look for the top cardiologist in Boston, or if you want to look for top experts across an ecosystem, you can do that instantly. Once you click on a healthcare provider, you can see this overview page. We also do have a couple of other pages. So a publication page showing co-authorship, showing their abstracts, showing their most published journals. We have another one for clinical trials. We have another one showing a breakdown of payment by company or even by product. And then we also do collect other information from Twitter, LinkedIn, and even news. And so that's a high-level overview of what we've done on the initial side for healthcare providers. But we don't really stop there. I think the next goal of this was to look across therapeutic areas, right? I mean, there's so many different conditions that patients have across the ecosystem. Today, we cover about 27 different therapeutic areas, about 15,000 different conditions. And so in this example that we'll run, we'll basically look at endocrinologists that are based in Boston, Massachusetts. And we'll basically kind of show you folks that are relevant within hyperthyroidism. And here instantly, we can see a list of the top experts at Brigham and Women's, at Boston Children, as well as like Mass Gen and other hospitals. And that's what this therapeutic area view kind of shows. We think what's really valuable over the long term, and I think in medical affairs, the hardest thing to kind of quantify is influence, right? Does influence mean the number of patients that they're seeing? Does it mean co-authorship? Does it mean trials? Does it mean congresses? What exactly is the depth of influence? And so the way we've actually combined influence, products, competitive mapping, or even centers of excellence is this like knowledge graph. And what this is a way to actually show information about a healthcare provider. And let me go ahead and kind of even pull it up and maybe show you an example, right? Like, so let's go back to that profile of like, this is how the platform actually looks. I'm going to go back to that profile of Deepak Butts, who's based in Mount Sinai in interventional cardiology. And so if I go ahead and click on this HCP graph, what we actually show on this page are a couple of different things, right? We show relationships that Deepak has had with other people, right? I can zoom in. I can show Deepak, he's the HCP. He's the person in the center, but he's working on papers with a variety of folks. He's working on trials, right? These purple nodes are trials. These are other people that have also worked on that trial. We can even break it down in terms of medical concepts, right? What type of patients does Deepak see, right? He sees patients across stroke, obesity, AFib, hypertension, ICAS, aortic valve stenosis. And what type of information do we have in terms of what products is he supporting today, as well as what type of life science organizations is he working with, right? Obviously he's working with like the Novo Nordisk and the AZs, but is he also working with Janssen, Lilly, and Amgen on other initiatives? And so those are the pieces that we do collect on our side that we think are extremely valuable. And during the point of like this medical affairs Olympics, I think one of the things that we've realized, right, there, and just like Amit had kind of showed, there's immense value in these large language models. Large language models are great at pulling out information, whether it's from the public web, whether it's from internal data sources. And so one of the big pieces that we have realized with DocNexus was the launch of Curie. And what this does is we basically take data from many different data streams, right? We just saw our 7 million profiles on DocNexus, but there's so much data that lives in the ecosystem, right? There's data on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Reddit. There's open payment transactions. There's data on publications from PubMed. There's claims data that companies collect. And so what we've done is we've actually built out a middle layer called DocNexus Brainwave, where we ingest the data and we create a semantic search layer. And I'll show you how this looks. But ultimately, the pipeline starts with you want to take your data sources, you want to feed it into a search and metadata layer, And I know everyone's been talking a lot about generative AI. I think I want to coin a new phrase, and it's generative BI, generative business intelligence. And that's where the industry is headed. People don't want to sit there and write queries in SQL. They don't want to write queries in Python. They simply want answers. And these could be answers to questions about doctors. These could be answers from social media sources. This could be answers about directly from your competition. And so what this looks like is you can ask a question today on GPT or any other source like Embod and ask, tell me about X person, right? And these models are going to perform very well. And they're going to tell you, they're going to pull from the data source and do that in real time. Now let's ask harder questions that require a large understanding of your internal databases, right? Tell me about the top prescribers for HIV in the US market. And instantly you can get a view that shows you, here are the top experts, here are the top drugs across the ecosystem. Descovy, Biktarvy that are out there. Now let's go a step further, right? Give me the top hashtag mentions and user handle mentions across HIV and social media. You have to look through millions of different data points and kind of source that. And so what we do on our end is we'll actually pull.
Sorry to interrupt, Mahek. We are at time, so I'm going to ask you just to start wrapping up.
Yeah. I'm wrapping up. We'll show you the top hashtag mentions as well. And similarly, we'll do this across, like, show me a geographic map of patients who have received HIV medications across the US. And that's what this visual kind of demonstrates. So that's kind of a quick overview of the DocNexus platform. And really, for us, we want to empower the next generation of life science organizations, both across medical devices and pharma, to bring products to patients that desperately need them. Thank you so much, and happy to kind of share.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Mahek, for taking us through your quite finished and polished product already in a detailed presentation. So now's the time for you to vote, judges, as Amit begins to provide his thoughts, his commentary as well, or a challenge as well.
Great.
So, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mahek, for the really great presentation. Look, I'm really amazed with your platform, the kind of information you can get. I was thinking, when I was in MSL, if I had access to this kind of platform, life would have been so much easier. But I think one sort of thought came to my mind, and if you can comment on that. So when I look at your platform, the first sort of similar platform that comes to mind is the Viva Link platform, which you may have heard of. So what I wanted to understand was how is DocNexus different from Viva Link? Because Viva Link is a similar platform that can provide you with KOL intelligence, territory intelligence. It can provide you with information where your KOLs are collaborating, with whom they're collaborating, publications, etc. So I just want to understand, how is yours different from Viva Link?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's definitely a good question. And I actually have something for that as well. And so, like, the way we really differentiate, right? Like, I mean, there's a lot of data that's out there that's external. There's also data that's out there that is internal to organizations. And so let me go ahead and pull up this slide that kind of shares. From our perspective, we've really built out this AI-powered knowledge graph that shows influence in a way that no one else has done thus far.
This is the one you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So it's more so a way to kind of show knowledge graphs, to show KOL relationships. I think it goes beyond like the primary, secondary, and tertiary pieces. And then no platform today exists that actually can ingest internal data. I think that's the hard part of these systems, right? Like, large pharmaceutical companies store so much data internally, and being able to process that is really where the power is. So we have our own claims data, but we also are able to kind of ingest and create these real-time views. And then the last piece is really the meta affairs, like GPT-type search capabilities. I think that's one of the pieces that we really pride ourselves on. And being able to, like I said before, next generation BI is really the wave of the future. And that's where we think the industry is headed. And so that's an area that we believe is a strong differentiator.
Okay, great. Thank you for that, Mahek. So kind of like a follow-up question I had was, when I look at your platform, it's the amount of information that it can give is enormous, and which is great. So let's say if you have some users that are not very tech savvy, and when they look at look at that enormous amount of information, it can be quite overwhelming for them. So is there a way you can make the platform a little bit easier visually for these kind of users? And also, if there is a training sort of a training team that you have within DocNexus that can provide your users with a complete training before they can actually start using the platform.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the goal, right? So we try to make it as simple as possible with like the design. And so like we're trying to go for the feel of like simplicity is key. I think like spending time, I kind of shared how we built the data because like I think it's very important to understand like as a data platform, you need to understand where the data is coming from. But on our side, our search engine looks very simple. We basically have three, and I was just sharing it as well. We basically have three things that you can search across. You can search across doctors, you can search across products, or you can search across conditions. And so it literally has like a search bar where you can type in the name of a KOL, you can type in like a specialty, or you can type in like a city as well. And those are the places that we think are going to be very easy to kind of inform decisions. People don't like, I think the alternative, right, is like, I have to write something in SQL or I have to write something in Python. And I think we want to try to eliminate that, right? I mean, so that's where we're trying to head in the near term.
Okay, great, thank you. So other question I had was, a lot of the information that you're pulling up on DocNexus is for clinicians within the US. Do you have plans to have a similar experience for clinicians in other countries like Europe, Australia, Asia? Can DocNexus get clinical KOL information from these countries as well?
Yeah, so today we've done this successfully for like the US market as well as Europe. But the goal is eventually to kind of scale out. Right now, we are kind of like focusing just on those two use cases that we've built out before expanding. I think there's a whole world of like data in China, data in APAC, data across the ecosystem. For us, like really US and EU are like pretty large in terms of beachhead markets. And so we've been able to kind of commercialize across those. And I think that the beauty in like this Curie product is it doesn't really matter where the data exists, right? You don't need to have like something central to US or Europe. It's just any internal data that you have and you want answers from, you can do that. And I think like I said, Amit, I think like there are some valuable collaborations, right? I think like MBot's doing a lot of interesting stuff on the tech side. We're doing a lot of stuff on like the charting and analytics side, right? And so there are some useful pieces on that side to kind of like talk about. And so yeah, happy to share.
Okay, great. All right, thank you, Mahek, for the really great information. That's all I had from my side for questions.
Okay, great. Thank you, Amit, Steve, and any of the other judges. We've had some who are going to be voting later before the session is over. So I only have 2 votes so far, Mahek. So I cannot provide you as much immediate feedback as I did for Amit. But let's wait for Steve maybe and others to chime in.
No, thank you, Mahek. And again, just referencing both of you, to fit what is 2 amazingly interesting and complex products into a 10-minute presentation is like a marathon runner trying to run a sprint, to use another Olympic organization. So you've both done very well in conveying the feature benefits and key points. I really like the whole area of KOL identification and management because it plays kind of into my wheelhouse of what one of my businesses is about. And so I've seen a little bit of different platforms out in the space with the H1s and the Vivas and the Pharma Spectras and things like that. And what I really like about what you're doing is you're again focusing on the applicability. Gen BI, I think, is a fantastic term. I hope it becomes mainstream because that's really what we want. We want the business intelligence. AI is too ubiquitous, but the way that you visualize the data is really going to appeal to people who are wired in that particular fashion. People like myself, where you can immediately get a feel for what's going on. It draws your attention to the important aspects of the where your personal journey wants to go. And the dashboard is really neat, very intuitive and easily understood. So you can tell it's been created more recently with more recent technology and that sort of stuff. So I think you've got a good advantage there. But one area where you probably don't have advantage is that there is it's hard to differentiate yourself in a crowded marketplace where customers are time poor, and we're trying to get your message across and resonate as to why we're different is a really difficult thing for a new player, and I know from experience in this space. So but really interested to hear about how you're going to differentiate yourself and in this get in front of customers and the business model there. How you're going to make a footprint, but because you're up against the big guys, but also from my perspective, we do a lot of sort of advisory boards in in an online asynchronous environment. And we find a lot of the top tier KOLs are a little less reluctant to engage in this format because they're used to being the big fish in the room and dominating the conversation, and everybody looks to them. Whereas an online environment kind of negates that authority and positioning. So we find the more engaged type of what I tend to lean on as a second tier KOL. So lots of publications, not on their journey to being a top tier KOL. I get several publications away, but much more active in terms of their online contributions in other channels and that type of thing. So do you have use cases where you identify different layers potentially of KOLs and how they can play into that?
Yeah, we do. So, I mean, I guess there's a ton of so the way we sort it today, right? We have obviously there's global KOLs, there's national KOLs, but there's also folks that are just community focused, right? There's people that are just seeing patients that aren't practicing, right? Then there's those rising stars, people that are kind of coming into the funnel, right? And so we use tagging as a way to differentiate. I think one of the biggest problems in the industry, and this is how I feel personally, it's just people are selling raw databases. And I think for us and my vision of DocNexus long term is not to be an updated database. Great that we have visuals. We want to build a healthcare provider network, right? Where we can actually get folks on board, right? Cardiologists, oncologists, getting them to engage about cutting edge topics, right? Twitter is not the place to discuss half this stuff. You can't wait till the next AHA conference to have these discussions. We already have their profiles. Their profiles are updated daily. All they have to do is click claim and start interacting. And so I think that's where we're going to start differentiating, right? We're not going to try to compete on other things, right? Everyone competes on scalability, performance, latency, pretty dashboards, intuitive UI. But really, instead of that, we're going to start competing on actually building out a network where folks across medical affairs can engage, physicians can have meaningful discussions, and ultimately improve patient outcomes, right? And so that's where the vision of this is. In terms of the Gen BI piece, right? And the reason we kind of coined that was we want to be a platform where VPs, data analysts, directors, managers, everyone's on a level set playing field, right? If you want to talk about this, you shouldn't be limited by the fact that C++ and someone else knows Python, someone knows how to set up an RDS instance. It should be across the board where you can ask a question and you can get a result. And now you can talk about how to improve that, right? How to improve that outcome for patients, how to improve that for omni-channel for HCPs. And really, that's where we're kind of headed. So those are some of my thoughts.
No, it's a great aspiration and ambition, and I applaud you on it because if you can crack that and get build those networks where people are contributing, to couple with the ingesting of the internal data from pharma companies, that certainly I agree. In my understanding, that's not something that other companies are focusing on. You've got some pretty unique positioning there. So, congratulations on identifying an opportunity to improve a kind of a standard model that's been existing out there and build upon it. Well done.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve.
Yep. Great. Thank you, Steve, for those insights. They're meaningful insights for both our competitors as always. So we have 2 votes only right now, Mahek, that I can just share with you. So the voting is not complete yet. Here are some of the votes. Okay. So this is 1 vote. A lot of great, very solid scores, high scores in the validity, predictability, applicability. Somewhat of a gap on the novelty side in this 1 vote. The others here, this is second. Oh, that's from Meet, and then yours are right here as well. So still collecting some scores here, and now I want to switch gears to the last messages. from both of you, because remember, the other judges will be also watching this on demand. Even though we had 5 judges early, we went a little bit over time, and we want to make sure that everyone takes the time to understand, be clear. So I won't be able to announce who goes on to the next final, but I'll announce that within 12 hours once we get the votes. But this is a good opportunity now to just to share how your idea is relevant, why your idea needs to go to the final tomorrow as well. 3 minutes each, as promised.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can kick it off. That's fine. Yeah, I don't mind.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're like, I mean, to be honest, we're really excited about like the medical affairs, like Olympics overall. I think this is a great opportunity to kind of collaborate with like-minded folks. Amit as well. Like, really enjoyed competing with you, and I think this was a great competition. For us, like at DocNexus, right, we're on the mission to improve patient outcomes across the ecosystem. We're doing this in a couple different ways. Number one, through DocNexus HCP search, but then also with the launch of like Curie and really delving into the generative BI space, or generative business intelligence. And so our goal ultimately is to really level the playing field for folks across the ecosystem and make sure that everyone has an advantage when they're querying any of their internal data or any external data that exists out there. And that's something that we're really empowered by. And then lastly, as we look towards the vision of DocNexus into the future, we want to really build out a network that facilitates engagements across HCPs, but then also across folks that are developing these medical devices or biopharma products. And really, that's where our train of thought is kind of focused today. So yeah, really excited to compete in the Med Affairs and Olympics. And thanks so much, everyone.
Great. Thank you, Mahek. And Steve, if there's anything else you need to, if any last minute questions, of course, again, for Mahek, feel free to ask.
No, I think I touched on it because it was, it's very, very relevant to my wheelhouse. So I was very interested to ask questions from my own selfish perspective, perhaps. But they were. I'm impressed with the platform. It is positioning itself a little bit differently, and very, very keen to watch the progress and maybe even be in touch at some point.
Okay, Amit, the floor is yours.
Yeah, great. Thanks. So look, firstly, I'd like to start by thanking our judges. I know it's everyone's from different parts of the world, and they devote a lot of time to go through our ideas and score. So really a big thank you to everyone who's really taking time to look at MBOT's idea and really score them. So a massive thank you, and also a big thank you to you, Tim, for organizing such a unique event. This is my first time, and I'll tell you, it won't be the last. It is such a great event. I think, like I said in my presentation, it's really bringing these two, especially personally for me, two of my favorite things, digital and medical affairs, and it brings them together in this really great event. So really, really thankful. Thank you for that. Now, from a MBOT's point of view, so really from a medical affairs perspective, what MBOT's really trying to do is help ease sourcing credible information. So more specifically, from a process point of view, MBOT can streamline processes by speeding up information retrieval for HCPs. It also has the potential to future potential to simplify adverse event reporting. It can aid in clinical trial recruitment, enhance patient education, while continuously improving through user interaction and data analytics. So it's a chatbot that keeps training itself based on the user interactions and user input that it gets. And on the other hand, from a patient's outcomes perspective, MBOT can support informed decisions, disease management, and self-advocacy. It can also offer valuable information that can connect patients to various resources. It also has a future capability of doing scheduled appointments, assisting in medication adherence, but more importantly, improving the health literacy for patients, and hence it can ensure continuous support through this patient journey. So that's what MBOT's aim is really, and really I come from a very unique point because I'm in a very early stages of MBOT. And really this event has given me so many valuable insights, speaking with judges and speaking with competitors, and we saw it live, speaking with Mahek, the collaborative opportunities that came out, thanks to this event. So look, I'm really looking forward to build MBOT to its perfection and really collaborate with a number of people around the globe. So thank you once again.
Thank you, Amit, very much, and Mahek. I really enjoyed this semifinal once again. I think this is a tough competition. I think a lot of us in medical affairs need to learn about the technology and how familiar you both have, become with it, being healthcare professionals and just integrating, the programs both of you mentioned. So I wish you both good luck. Appreciate your kind words and comments, and I hope the judges, you evaluate, take the time and listen and watch this.
There's one criticism I have, guys. It's that you've made this process so difficult from a judge perspective. The term splitting hairs comes to mind, and we're doing our very best, but in no other way. All these initiatives in the semi-finals are things that could make a genuine difference to the medical affairs landscape and healthcare in general. So whatever the result, please persevere and go down the track that you're heading down, because there's good things at the end of it for a lot of people.
Yep, great. And we'll see you all tomorrow at the final and closing ceremony, 5 p.m.
Thanks, guys. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.